Hey, it's MJ from the Coaches Panel. I hope you all, and thanks so much for coming back and watching another player review as we look at every single player that's moved clubs this off-season via the mechanism of free agency or trade. Tell you what it means for the club they've left, the club they've arrived at, and for us that play SuperCoach, AFL Fantasy and Dream Team, what does it mean? Jacob Koschitzke was a Hawk, he's now a Tiger. What does it mean for these two clubs? Well, for the Hawks, then probably pretty happy. Not because they wanted to see Jacob go, although some media reports certainly gave the indication they really didn't value him, but Koschitzke moving out, Chol coming in. While they're not exactly the same type of players, you could argue Chol's certainly a greater athlete. Chol's probably more likely to give them that opportunity to play him as a ruck forward, where Koschitzke was more a key position that could go into the ruck, but wasn't amazing in that spot, which a lot of second rucks aren't, to be fair. So from a Hawthorn perspective, they're not really lacking in anything because they've kind of replaced a like for like. Koschitzke out, Chol in. And so I think they're pretty happy with that. We know that Hawthorn are building this forward line predominantly around Mitch Lewis, and very much understandably so. In the games he played this year, overcoming injury, his presence inside the forward 50 was incredibly prolific. Strong overhead mark, really hard to match up on in a lead for a key tall, and a pretty reliable set shot at goal. You start to throw the likes of Bruce and Gunston in there for another season. Ginnivan, who we've seen on grand final day and at patches throughout his short AFL career at Collingwood, who's now there via trade to Hawthorn as well. He's a real, and I use this in the nicest way possible, he's a real pest in the forward line. And that's an endearing way of saying he's hard to keep an eye on. He moves around a lot. He gets into contests. He throws himself in. So I think he kind of replaces Brockman a little bit. We'll get to Jack on his episode as well soon, but this forward line with now Chol coming in, better athlete, a better option through the ruck, I think Hawthorn probably feel like they've just leveled up this forward line a little bit more. From a Richmond perspective, the departure of Jack Riewoldt and the injury to Tom Lynch this year did show some gaps in their forward line. Now, they've still got some really nice smalls through there. Whenever Dusty and Bolton get any space, gosh, you don't want to be coming up anywhere near them. But it was really obvious this year that they lacked tall forwards. And with Riewoldt in his final season and no Tom Lynch missing a lot of the year through injury, they really were exposed for options through this forward line. So I like the addition of Koschitzke for a number of reasons. Number one, if Lynch misses games through suspension or injury, he's a strong presence. Koschitzke might not be the flashiest footballer out there, but what he is he's reliable. If he doesn't mark the ball, he does bring the ball to ground. He's still young enough to develop parts of his game, so he's certainly not capped up and capped out to what he's going to be as a footballer. So I think from a Richmond perspective, we know that Lynch is the one wood. He is elite. He's one of the best tall forwards in the game, and Koschitzke is more than a handy key position foil, and due to his size and the way he uses his body, he will be a difficult matchup for the number 2 key position defender. So I do see a couple of games throughout the year for those that lack for depth in key position defense. I can really see Richmond exploiting teams either through Koschitzke with his marking and strength and body, or by bringing the ball to ground and letting these still damaging smalls that they have, still letting them get to work and do some great work. So from a Richmond perspective, I think it's great because if they can't get Lynch back to full fitness, it won't be all on him. And for so long, Richmond were all on Jack Riewoldt. Then Tom came in and they were able to be at their best when they could work together. So I think I really like this move for Richmond on the relative cheap to get a guy that'll be a really nice support for Lynch. Really love this move for the Tigers. I think they're on to a win. What does it mean for us in the fantasy community? Well, over the past 3 years, go back and look at the averages of Koschitzke. It's within 2 to 3 points of pretty much all he's done. Like, it's always in the mid to high 40s in AFL Fantasy and Dream Team. It's always in that mid sort of 50s range in SuperCoach. And so, yeah, that's what he is. I know he's arguably in a better team now in Richmond. I know he's arguably in a better system, although we don't know exactly what that will be under Adam Uze. He'll definitely have more elite caliber players around him, with the likes of a Bolton and a Dusty Martin rolling through that forward line for sure, than what he had at Hawthorn. But is he fantasy relevant? No. Is he someone to handcuff in a draft? Not really. Look, the places you might consider him: really deep category league, and where your categories you're looking for are things like marks and goals, then maybe, just maybe, it's there. But definitely, like I said before, there will be matches where against the right opponent, yeah, you might be looking to stream him as a waiver wire, put him as an emergency, and then flip his score onto the field if you're able to do so in a draft or as a daily fantasy plug and play. I don't mind him through there on the right matchup against the right team or the right variables, and there's got to be a lot of them. Then maybe, just maybe, he could get you a 90 1 week and really help your forward line in a draft. But for classic owners, he's just not the kind of player you should be looking at. But do you agree or disagree on my take on Jacob Koschitzke? You can have your say in the comments section below. Make sure you followed us here on YouTube. Turn the notifications on so as soon as a video drops on this channel, whether it be a player review or anything we do during the off season for 2023, heading into the pre-season of 2024, you'll be notified straight away. And our Patreons, they get exclusive content, hidden access to groups, bunch of other podcasts, and a heap of other rewards. For just as little as $2 a month, you can join our Patreon and support the Coaches Panel. That and all our social media channel tags you can find in the description of this video. Thanks for watching, and we can't wait to chat to you about another player that's moved clubs this off season very, very soon.